This is Niger Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is Engineer Yabagi Sani, presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, also former chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, one of Nigeria's most experienced politicians. Alhaji Sani, you're welcome to Niger Unfiltered.
Thank you very much for having me.
I should say you're welcome again because this is your second time.
Coming.
Nice to have you.
Thank you very much. It's a
Let's
pleasure.
get right into it, sir. I'm sure you are abreast of goings on. Like I described you, you're one of Nigeria's most experienced politicians. At some point, you were chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council. And I think it's appropriate that we start from educate us, sir, enlighten Nigerians, our viewers. The NWC of African Democratic Congress, ADC, educate us, how is it possible that the NWC of a party, a political party, took a decision, now not the national chairman, not the national secretary, but a deputy national chairman now comes out to say later on, after 6 or 7 months, to say, no, educate us, how does this happen? That suddenly media are addressing him as factional chairman, only him. There's nobody in that old NWC that is with this man, apart from the Honorable Lake Abejide. But educate us.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
I think you have to look at it from the fundamentals of a political party.
Yes.
And how is it different from other organizations?
Yes.
You know, like you have organizations that are for business.
Yes.
You have cultural organizations. Yes. You have also social clubs.
Exactly.
But when you have a political party,
yes,
the dynamics are different.
Different.
You know, and if you understand the fact that a political party is a social, organization, and anything that is social, it takes a process, for it to change.
Yes.
You can't mechanically change it. You cannot also externally change it and have stability in that social organization. So that's perhaps what happened in the case of ADC, because as a political party, it's a social organization. It's an organization that, was put together as a result of people of like minds, agreeing to come together to pursue a particular direction.
Objective.
For them to be able to impact on the people of the society, the citizens rather, by forming a government,
yes,
or playing oversight function on a party in power government. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that those who went to ADC, and instead of them to concentrate on campaigning or contesting for offices, which is available by law, by the process, by the legal framework under which the party was established, which would be regarded as a normal process. Because if those people that went to ADC went there to say, okay, we're here, we want to use your platform to contest because we are Nigerians. The Constitution guarantees us this right. You can't deny us this. And nobody would deny them. But the moment you try to tinker with the structure of the party, which, like I told you, is an organic thing, it's a social thing, you will definitely have problems. There's no doubt about that. It's not only, is it Nafiu Gombe or something like that?
Yes, Nafiu Bala Gombe.
Nafiu Bala Gombe or anything. You will have some other ones also coming up, one way or the other. Because they will say, this is like a kind of takeover, of the party. Because perhaps they were not thinking about somebody coming to hijack the party from them. That's the word they will use. That, how can you just come because you have money or you have influence. We have been here, politicians. We've been laboring for this party, even if they don't attend meetings. They will tell you that it is that time. They will tell you they've been laboring for this. We're building this party, and all of a sudden you come and say you have money, and then we should all go away one way or the other. You force us, manipulate us, to now sign papers and things like that. So, you see, there's something that we have to accept, and don't forget that you have opponents. Isn't it?
Yes.
And the stakes are high.
Very high.
So this is not a game for just ordinary people. It's a game that you must be strong, to fight, because the stakes are very high. You're talking about power. So they will do everything. Your opponents will do everything to see how they can destabilize you. And that's what you see happening. So two things are happening here. One, those who went to ADC, and instead of them concentrating on contesting and leaving the structure, because what do you want to do?
Contesting within the party.
Within the party.
For party positions.
Exactly. And once you become a member of the party, maybe give them 1 year or 2 years, you will have opportunity of becoming whatever you want to become in that party. But follow the normal, natural process of evolution. Then you avoid yourself the crisis that they are now battling with.
Okay.
So, but again, that does not in any way absolve the party in power, APC, that is trying to see how they can, by all means, make Nigeria a one-party state.
Okay, so you believe that they are trying to do that?
No, of course. And like I told you, it's a highly, highly competitive environment.
The stakes are very high.
Very high. So, and when you look at it critically, it's not only Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even people before him, perhaps they didn't use the kind of tactics he's using now. They were probably more
diplomatic.
Exactly, in doing it.
More finesse.
Exactly, finesse. But his aggressive, takeover of the system itself. And why? If you ask yourself, because the Constitution makes it possible for anybody in that position to do what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing. So what I always say is that, why don't we look inwards, revisit, go back to the drawing board, take a second look at our Constitution, the kind of powers you give to the president of the country, especially when it comes to the issue of elections, appointments and all these things, what have you. It's very critical because when you say independent, the word independent doesn't make an organization independent. It has to be truly independent.
Absolutely. The processes. Look at even the judiciary. How independent are they really in the manner that the judiciary is being operated in this country? Look at the legislative. How independent are they? And all these things are possible because our own ground norm, the Constitution, makes it possible for anybody of the type of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take advantage of it in the manner he's doing now. Because he knows that there's nothing you can do. Go to any court you want to go to. What he has done, you can't undo it. He has appointed, some people that he wants, and where he wants them, you cannot, take it away from him. The Constitution says he has that right, for him to do such things. So it's up to us. If we concentrate on Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we will lose the substance of the matter. We will lose it. Let's concentrate on the laws. Let's amend, those provisions of the Constitution that before thought that you as a Nigerian, you are expected to behave in a certain manner. So a lot of things are given to you that if you reach a certain stage, there are certain things that you won't do. You will behave as a gentleman. A rationally thinking person.
Exactly. And then you can do something, but you say, no, for the sake of this, I won't do it. Because I'm a leader, isn't it? Therefore, I can allow this to happen. But not everybody. So it has shown that we didn't think well. The drafters of the Constitution perhaps assumed too much. And that's why we're having this backlash. People are taking advantage of it. So it's not the person that is there, it's the system.
Engineer, you are raising very, very profound, very, very deeply troubling, at the same time, very profound issues. But a quick interrogation. Number one, the issue of the ADC that I started from, let's bury that, let's finalize it. But there is nothing expressly in the constitution of the party or our electoral act or the constitution that says an NWC cannot dissolve itself. There is nothing that says they cannot do that. Is there?
There's nothing.
Yes.
But also, there's nothing in it that says people must not protect their interests.
Absolutely.
Self-preservation.
Exactly.
I'm talking about external acts.
Absolutely.
Because these people were not in ADC before.
Yes.
At best, maybe they hear their names.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, you just appear and say, I'm this, I'm that, and I want to take over your party.
And like you said, the ruling party saw an opportunity and they cashed in on it.
Because it's not a mechanical organization.
Absolutely. It's a human organization.
Yeah, it takes a process.
Emotion and all of
exactly.
that.
You can't just take this one from here and put it here, in political environment. It's a social organization. It takes a process.
Exactly. Now, let's interrogate this later part that you introduced, which is very profound. I find it very profound. But my first interrogation is that, sir, there are some democracies that do not even have written constitutions. The oldest democracy, the United Kingdom, and that is ranked as one of the best models of democratic experiments, do not have a written law, whether constitution or electoral, nothing. And one of their democracy is one of the best in the world. So, sir, is it about laws, reform of constitution, reform of democratic, or the character? I agree with you that maybe the framers of our constitution did not envisage or did not contemplate that we would have an emergence of a person in the mold of our current president. I know what worries me is that after him, because what he has done now has shown others coming behind us, you can do this and get away with it.
Exactly.
So is it about law or the people, the character of the person?
No. You have to, again, look at democracy itself.
Okay.
It's a government of the people,
for the people,
by the people, for the people, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And then there are certain assumptions under that, saying that people, government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's assumed that the individual you are talking about has all it takes to independently decide for himself, and he cannot be influenced. But is that the case in our situation? No. The answer is no. The bulk of our people are poor. They are battling with the basic needs, food, shelter, clothing. They are battling with those basic things. So, and anybody who is battling with those basic things is not complete in his, senses, because these things will definitely affect his sense of judgment.
Influence the sense of...
Exactly. And then here we are again with a situation where you have such endemic ignorance. Ignorance is prevalent in our communities, especially when you look at the largest voting population, which is the rural areas. They are poor. They are largely ignorant. You can easily sway them because they say, oh, okay, my son said this is what we should do, so we're going to do it. It's not the same thing in America. It's not the same thing in Britain. The man in Britain is appreciably informed. He is appreciably economically independent. He's not waiting for your 10,000 or 5,000 naira, for him to vote. But here in our situation, democracy, what democracy thinks or assumes that will be there is not yet. So that's why, in addition to the constitutional flaws that we have highlighted, even our own stage of development as human beings still,
falls short
of what the assumption of government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Brilliant. But now, engineer, let's agree that, okay, the masses, the generality of the masses suffer from deprivation and ignorance.
Exactly.
These twin evils that you're dating, and I agree with you entirely.
Yes.
But then what about the elite? Nobody in the National Assembly. In our National Assembly, 109 senators. In the House of Reps, 360 members. I can safely hazard a guess that 60, if not 70% of them are educated above secondary school level.
Yeah,
Aha.
you're right.
So, and they've been something or the other before.
Exactly.
In fact, in National Assembly, almost maybe 20, 30% of them have been former governors or whatever. So the question, sir, is that the president, yes, can appoint INEC chairman. I agree with you. He can appoint even the chief judge of Nigeria. I agree. But then the National Assembly is meant to be independent as well. But then they deliberately, voluntarily, submit themselves as an appendage. That's what people are saying. So why is the National Assembly that the framers of democracy expect to check the excesses? How do you reconcile this, that the National Assembly, especially this 10th National Assembly, has become more or less toothless, rubber stamp?
Yeah, if you look at, we are practicing constitutional democracy, isn't it? Which means everything is governed by laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and your laws are not what they are supposed to be. They are flawed. They have a lot of flaws.
They have gaps in them.
Yes, gaps. Thank you very much. They have gaps. So now, the people you mentioned in the National Assembly, for self-preservation, for the sake of ensuring that they are able to come back to that seat, they have to dance to the tune of the man who now controls these institutions. You heard what the president himself said some few days ago.
Yes.
That if you are a senator, there's no automatic ticket to go to your governor, go and do ballet for him. So it's no longer whether you have the knowledge, like you said, or you have the means to run your campaign.
Or you haven't performed well as a senator.
No. Is that small God? God who's small.
In the states, that will determine whether you
return or not. So you can see how twisted the whole situation is. And that's why we are where we are today. Wow. Because until we revisit, like I said, our ground norm and realize the fact that the assumptions are not correct. We have to use another set of assumptions to do our laws. So this is why when Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president wanted to, we wanted to have control over the house. He just summoned them. Those independent people think that he summoned them.
Exactly.
And he told them, this is the man I want as your Senate president.
Exactly.
This is the one I want as your deputy Senate president. This is who I want as your speaker. This is the one I want as all the principal officers. Go and elect them.
Yes.
And you that was elected as Senate president or speaker or something,
how you became
what you are, and you know that this one can remove you.
Absolutely.
It will just take like this, because of the system that is corrupt. So this is the reason why, if we don't want to be in this vicious cycle, as a nation, as a people, we must take a second look at what we have as our laws. Forget about Amon Peter. People are blaming him, this and that, what have you. No, it is the law. So we need to change those things so we can have a functional, responsive, kind of democracy that we are yearning for. So this is the problem. This is the crux of the matter as far as I'm concerned.
Engineer, let's switch gears. So Ibadan political summit over the weekend. A lot of fallout, commentaries, and reverberations out of it. What's your general assessment? Briefly, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes. What's your general take on it? And are you a part of it?
No, I'm not.
Your party is not part of it?
No, we are not part of it. We are not part of it. Right from the beginning, we are not part of the coalition.
Okay.
And the reasons were very, very clear to us why we are not part of it. We didn't think that was the direction to go, really. Of course, they consulted us. We talked to them. And at a point, I even went to sit down with the coalition people, so that they will understand where we stand. It's a matter of principle.
Yes.
What is happening? What happened in Ibadan is democracy in action.
Yeah.
People have the inalienable rights to assemble, to express themselves, and then advance the cause of democracy. Because those two things are fundamental to survival democracy. The freedom to associate with who you want to do, and freedom to express yourself,
Expression.
which is what they did. They didn't like what was happening,
Yes.
the way they're being treated. They didn't like it, and of course, they wanted to come to sit down to tell the whole world that this is what is happening to us, and we don't think it's the right thing to do. So I don't see anything wrong with what they did.
Okay.
But the question is, will it move the needle?
The needle.
No, it will not move the needle. So to me, it's just democracy in action.
In action. Okay.
That's the way I see it.
Okay.
That they can say what they want to say. And again, what you must not lose sight of is the fact that our democracy is governed by those primordial sentiments. It's more influential than even the party membership and what have you. So perhaps you may even take a second look at the pronouncements, by Sheyi Makinde against their own track record in 2023.
Yes.
When they went against a president that is not from their own region for that primordial sentiment.
So the G5 you are referring to?
The G5.
G5.
Okay. So now, what has changed? I don't know. In terms of that sentiment, I don't know what has changed.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that you must understand that this is politics.
Politics.
What they're saying outside may not be what they're saying to themselves when you are not behind.
When you are not there.
You are not there. You don't know. This may be just for the
media.
Yeah, exactly. To entertain themselves and what they say when they are together. You may not know.
Interesting. You will know because you are an old master in this. What's the way forward for the ADC and opposition parties? What's the way forward?
Democracy is very elastic. Very, very elastic.
Okay.
They still have time.
Okay.
To do what I told you before.
Yes.
Campaign, contest on a platform of another party.
Would you welcome them to Action Democratic Party?
No, I told you that few weeks ago.
Yes,
I really went to them to tell them that there's a need to protect the pluralism of this system by the opposition closing ranks.
Yes.
Let's dialogue.
Yes.
Let's talk to each other.
Yes.
In case for any reason,
exactly,
something happens.
Yes.
We should have a fallback.
Exactly. Option 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly.
So there were no box in the corner.
Yeah, no. So it's not like they're out of options.
Options, okay.
Completely, no.
Okay.
Even Senator David Mark himself was also confronted with a situation similar to this when he introduced the doctrine of necessity.
Doctrine of necessity,
isn't it? So you find that anytime the country comes, and because it's faced with this kind of situation, differently, solutions are found. Solutions are found that we will have to live with, for the sake of continuity. And this is why I believe that perhaps what we need to do is to address the fundamentals of this democracy itself, which is the ground norm, the constitution itself. How we give powers to particularly the president of the country.
What do you see playing out? How do you manage this ego so that if one person gets it, the other people will back him up rather than splinter like they did in 2023 and then allow the president to just walk home?
No, one thing that I think they have come to terms with about late, they have a consensus. I think.
Okay.
And that consensus is that they have a common enemy. I don't know which other words to use.
Exactly.
But which is APC.
Okay.
Isn't it? So therefore, that now will be the rallying point, for them to bring all their resources together and ensure that they are able to fight this battle. That it's a very historical. It's something that I know. If we're able to do it, the generations yet unborn will dove their heart for us, as politicians of this time, because it will be another time that you find power changing hands from one political party to another political party. And that's, what does it do? It strengthens the process itself. It makes the democracy to grow, like what happened during Jonathan and things like that. So if it happens now, it's another
watershed moment.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's switch gears. President Tinubu last week, when they were commissioning the Nigerian Revenue Service building, said he said a lot of questionable things. Let me use that word. But one that really resonated with Nigerians, that really made Nigerians quite worried, I don't say angry, is that anybody who cannot see his administration's achievements needs a pair of eyeglasses. Do you agree? And what are his achievements that you can tell us? That he's saying the achievements are so many, nobody needs a pair of eyeglasses to see them.
The achievements are that he's able to build his friends by giving them trillion contracts without any due process. The achievement is that Nigerians are poorer. Nigerians are being killed like chickens now, more than before. Everybody, even in your house today, in Lagos, in Ibadan, wherever, where before this time, people feel safe that this is a northern affair.
Yes.
Today, it's no more northern affair. It's a national disaster that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has visited on the people of this country. So we can see the achievements, of course. Anybody who can see it really need a pair of glasses for him to see the damage that he has done. So it's true. Because it's so obvious. Even today, as we sit here, we know that people are being killed, are being kidnapped, being tormented, being treated.
417 Nigerians are in captivity.
In captivity.
In Kwara.
Yeah.
With terrorists. And they did a video. The terrorists were bold enough to do the video, posted it.
Yes.
And told Nigerian government that if you don't meet our demands, we'll kill them.
Exactly.
They
even went on strike, I understand. The bandits.
Exactly. Somewhere in the north.
Exactly. They went on strike. Yes. So, and they would go for Salah prayers, ED and all these things. So who cannot see that? So if you tell me you haven't seen what he has achieved by bringing us to this unfortunate situation, then that person should be examined, his eyes or even brains. So the president was right.
People have alleged, without evidence, but due to circumstances that the ruling party and the government are behind destabilization plots against Labour Party, PDP, ADC, and all of that. But the government and the party will deny it. Until the president came out to say, that same event, Mr. Senate President, thank you. I will send you to the other side to go and represent me. And you scatter them. So people said, he was joking now, don't take it serious. But then, Mr. President, forgetting that he's a leader, there are some things that should not come out of your mouth, even in jest. Because what happens is that people who are your fans or your aides or your subordinates will jump on it.
Yes.
To say you are sending them indirectly.
Yeah, exactly.
So the president's number one employee, the chief of staff, 3 days after, went to a birthday party of Honorable Leke Abejide and was telling the Leke Abejide that ADC is your own. Yeah. You funded it.
Yes.
We love what you are doing. Yeah. Don't leave them.
Yeah,
scatter it. So do we now conclude that truly APC and the government is destabilizing opposition party?
Of course, but the president even said it long before now that he was enjoying the crisis happening in the opposition camps. Even before this time, that's why he said it at the National
Assembly was making budget presentation.
So he said it. So he didn't hide, the fact that they are behind all these crises that you find in these political parties. But the fact of the matter is this: you see, when you look at the political parties, ourselves, there's a need for us to be cohesive. The cohesion that is required, is lacking. And perhaps, what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing will strengthen the opposition because it will make people to become more resolved
Yes.
in fighting the party in power. The youth are there, if opposition is organized, who are ready to really go a different direction
Yes.
from what the APC is leading them to. Yes. You have the large population of voters that are waiting for some coherent message
Ideas
from the opposition that this is where we want to take you to. This is the solution we have. Other than name calling and then pronouncement and things like that. So I think we ourselves as the opposition, we have our own part to play, to rise to the occasion.
You have your work cut out for you.
Exactly. And then that is what perhaps, that's why I said unwittingly, APC may be strengthening the opposition to the extent that they may not even be able to fight opposition because opposition may become stronger. Stronger because people will see that all these things happening is for selfish interest. It's not for their interest because their interest is somewhere else. So this may be one of the good things that may happen to
the law of unintended consequences.
Exactly. That may be something that will happen.
Now, engineer, we need to run because we're running out of time. So let's try and do this short. Now, in the last 30 days alone, we have lost 120 people to different criminal activities in the Northwest. Now, we had 49 villagers massacred in Kwara, Kebbi, Benue, Plateau. Even yesterday, a pastor and a wife, some 12 people in one village in Plateau State, just yesterday. Nigeria is now the fourth on the Global Terrorism Index. We have several villages, communities, empty, deserted, because of fear of terrorists and bandits and all of that. Has the government of Nigeria abandoned? Because it seems to me that two things preoccupy the mind of the president: politics and then revenue generation.
No, I think what is happening, long before now, people have been saying that insecurity is political.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's a tool that...
And the Senate president said after elections next year, insecurity would end.
So what it means is that perhaps the party in power has questions to answer. Because why is it that senators are coming out to say that we should suspend campaigns, like Senator Ningi said?
Exactly.
That, and then I heard that they are trying to pass a bill to say that some states in the north,
Borno, Benue, and a few others,
elections should not take place there. So, which means the people they are accusing of funding terrorism and what have you, they are the number one terrorists themselves, because they have the wherewithal to fight. Look at what happened in Mali. When the terrorists, became overbearing, and then what they did, it took how many hours for the mercenary that came from Russia, I understand, something, to clear the whole place.
Yes. So
what stops Bola Ahmed Tinubu from engaging, even if he has to go outside the normal channels, to get an army that within 1 week or 2 weeks will clear this.
Like President Jonathan tried to do.
So why? So the answer is that they are using insecurity as a tool for political campaigns, political advantage. And because 2027 is by the corner, so that's why perhaps they don't want to address the issue of insecurity. Because how can you convince, like you said, how many people do you have in Kwara that are under captivity, being tortured for nothing, that they didn't do anything?
Yes.
So you think the Nigerian armed forces cannot, go to Kwara and then smoke out those people? We don't have what it takes. Do you think we don't have what it takes? We have the men, we have the money. You can deploy them to Kwara, and then you can do it state by state.
Exactly.
clear them, kill those ones that kill. Those that will survive. Even the people that have been captured. No, of course, we don't want to lose anybody.
Yes.
But if that is the cost that will save the lives of thousands or millions that are remaining,
so be it.
So be it. But for us to fold our arms like this and them say, insecurity, oh, sorry about this, let the governor go and condole them, or somebody should go there and then condole them, and that's it.
What's your view on the
I don't understand.
744 repentant terrorists? It's a component under the Operation Safe Corridor. So far about 3,000 repentant, de-radicalized. Sir, tell us, what is your own view of this? Is there any example of it anywhere in the world that somebody has committed heinous, barbaric crimes, and without taking them through the judicial system, you just come up and say they've repented, and in 6 months you say you have given them a training, and then you wear uniform for them? Ashwebi, you throw a party for them, sort of, give them whatever, and then you say they should go back. You reintegrate them into society.
Exactly.
So what's your view about this?
No, it's what we've been discussing before, that it's all, perhaps, people in government have questions to answer. Because it doesn't make sense, really, to anybody, some of the things they are doing, And it cannot be that we don't have the resources, because we have the resources.
Absolutely.
And again, like you rightly said, the number one responsibility of any government at all is security. So if you cannot provide security, you have no moral right to call yourself people, like president or whatever you want to call yourself, because the only claim you have to that office is if you can deliver.
Protect the
as
people.
per the Constitution,
Yes.
because that's what the Constitution says.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate, but I think the president, like I've always said, he has what it takes in terms of experience.
Yes.
To deal with these problems. Why he's not dealing with them is something that I cannot understand. Because I don't think going like this will even make people to vote for them. You may have a protest vote. I'm telling you, So it's better for Mr. President to act as the president of this country, and consider the entire country as his constituency, which is what it is, and then do the needful, especially in the area of this insecurity. Because either from inward, we look inward and bring out the resources to fight this cankerworm, or if we don't have what it takes, go outside. He doesn't need to consult anybody.
Exactly.
Because he has been elected already. That's what we want him to do.
Exactly.
He doesn't even need to consult the security forces or something like that, in case they are somehow, you never know.
Yes.
Collaborators of what is happening, you don't know. I'm not saying I've seen one, but who knows? I mean, somebody says, one of the late head of state said that if insurgency, lasts for more than 24 hours, the government, it knows about it. And it has a hand in it. So could that be the case here?
17 years, engineer. 17 years we've been on this issue.
Yes.
And it's gotten worse, not improved.
So it's unfortunate that somebody of the stature of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be the president of the country, and these things will be happening the way they are happening. There was a time he gave marching orders to the generals that they should go to, I don't know which state is that now, but did they move there? So what happened?
And no consequence.
And no consequence.
As we wrap up, sir, last question. You said it, and I love that phrase. I agree with you entirely. 2027 is high stakes. The stakes could not be higher.
Yeah.
Apart from the Civil War, I have not seen. I thought 1993, the crisis after 1993 annulment, I thought we would never come to a point where the stakes would be so high. But the stakes in 2027 are so high. What do you see in your crystal ball as one of the most experienced politicians around? What do you see? How high is the stakes? And what do you expect? What tickets? How is it able that you politicians are able to unseat this government? Or we should just forget about it and then...
You know, what is it 4 or 8 years in the life of a nation?
Yes.
You ask yourself. I know that Nigeria will definitely survive all this, you know, in spite of whatever this government is doing. And I also know for a fact that this country, you know, and the democracy will survive.
Okay. You're sure?
I'm very, very sure about that. It will survive.
Okay.
All these things. It will become history.
Okay.
You know, because democracy is about. It's better you jojo than to war, isn't it? Like this.
Yeah.
So, as far as I know, and I believe, all the people you see, the actors in this program of democracy, they are all committed and very, very passionate individuals when it comes to growing democracy in this country. They're very passionate. Nobody is ready to sacrifice democracy for anything. So, Bola Ahmed Tinubu can do whatever he wants, all the shenanigans, all the things he's doing. This democracy will survive in spite of him.
Okay.
You know? So, and that's why I wouldn't like Nigerians to lose hope. No, you know, because like I said, you say maybe tomorrow or so, the Supreme Court will have to give their whatever verdict they give. Believe you me, democracy will survive. Because human beings, you know, we have that innate, you know, reservoir of survival,
resilience, survival,
instincts.
and all of that.
Yes, you know.
What ticket, even if it's you, what ticket can Nigeria see and say, well, this is a better alternative to the APC government? What ticket?
You mean the combination of individuals?
Yes, combination of just president and even if it's you, because you are running too, sir, I guess.
Well, we are here.
So give us a ticket, a winning ticket.
I believe, like, you know, I brought instances where when things happened,
yes,
you know, that people were thinking, how are we going to pass through this stage? I mentioned the case of the late Yaradua.
Yes.
I mentioned the case of Jonathan.
Yes.
The case of David Mark himself.
Exactly.
You know, so even this one, you know, these also shall pass. You know, whatever situation we're in now, believe you me, it will pass. You know, and the question of which tickets.
Yes.
I think if you look at it critically, if you look at it today, like, is it Obasanjo or somebody who said it, that anybody, any permutation, any combination you bring out will defeat Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Atiku said it.
Atiku said it.
Yes.
Okay. So which means when we politicians come together, any ticket that is brought out will receive the 100% support of Nigerians, so that they will be freed from this untold hardship that, you know, we have been thrown into. So it's not about really who and who now. It's about coming together and then agreeing that okay, A, B, you know, you go, we support you. It will win. That ticket will win.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Alaji, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll see again.
Yeah,
we'll see very soon again.